Amagyana-timarandasya gyana-gyana-salakaya chakshushamilitam yena tasmai shiguruve namaha Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Te Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nevase Sasanyavadi Pastatide Zatarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Sri Vasade Govakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, when there are small purports to the translations, usually it means that Prabhupada doesn't put a huge amount of importance on the particular verse. But anyway, I think, even though I've been told that you went over this yesterday, is that correct? Yes? Yeah? I was told in no uncertain terms that you have to do it again for whatever reason. So we're doing it now.
I'm doing the happiness tomorrow.
Oh, there you are. So
in case anybody's interested in that sort of thing, right?
Lucky you. So, it's very clear, Prabhupada has made it very clear that determination, which we know from reading Upadeshamrita, Utsahan Nishchaya Deheyat, those are the qualifications for endeavoring in devotional service. But we're not actually talking about devotional service tonight, we're talking about the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion and ignorance, and how determination is arrived at or evaluated. So, in the mode of goodness, satyagun, the osanaprita, the determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained, is steadfast by yoga practice, on which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness. So Srila Prabhupada would say that one has to come to the mode of goodness to actually enter into the transcendental realm of bhakti. And if you can see, all these so-called material religions like Christianity, Buddhism, and Mohammedanism, they all have a code of practice which is pretty much very similar if you really read those particular codes. And those codes, of course, are in the mode of goodness. So every faith, material religion, which consists of Dhamma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. That's a very bad cough you've got there. Are you all right? Chest. Okay. Is there any water? Oh, actually, where's the water there? Take some water, man. Are you sure? Okay. If you want, it's here. Okay. So, this is material religion. Dhamma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So, first of all, to make sure everyone's on the same page, Dhamma. When we talk of Dhamma, material Dhamma, what do we mean exactly? What do we mean by material Dhamma? Can anyone tell me?
To do something right and distinguishing between right and wrong.
Yes, correct. Dhamma, Artha. And who can describe to me what Artha means? Dhamma, Artha. Economic development, correct. Economic development. Dhamma, Artha, Kama. K-A-M-A. What does Kama mean?
Satisfaction.
Sense gratification, correct. Sense gratification. And then liberation. Probably put your phone away. That'd be better. All right, thank you. That's good. So, yeah, if everyone can turn off their phone in case they have a message coming through or someone's trying to ring you, you know, it'd be nice if you put it away for half an hour. So, Dhamma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So, Moksha. So let's look at the last one, Moksha. So what do we mean by moksha? What's moksha? Liberation. Freedom, in other words. Freedom from this material existence. Now then, if we read the next translation, it gives a little hint about that. It says, but the determination by which one holds fast to fruitive results in the religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion. So, in Bhagavad-Gita, in the 3rd chapter, Srila Prabhupada says the predominating mode of this material world is passion. And when we're born into this material world and we take on the body, which is consisting of the 3 modes of material nature, the predominant overall mode of nature is passion. And Prabhupada relates that passion to lemon, to nimbu. And he relates the consciousness of the living entity as milk, dood, pure milk. So when pure milk is mixed with the passion of nimbu, that's nimbu is used as the expression of passion. Then you have a mix of consciousness. And that's what clouds the consciousness, the pure consciousness of the living entity. Because Arjuna in that particular chapter, when Krishna is leading up to talking about sinful activity in the material world, Arjuna asks a very important question. And that question is, what is actually, Lord Krishna, what is actually pushing us or pressuring us towards making sinful activities? It's as if we can't avoid making sinful activities. And then Krishna says, Kamaresha, Krodesha, Rajaguna Samudbhava, Mahashano Mahapatma, Vidyanam Iha Vairinam. So Krishna is saying it is the mode of passion, O Arjuna, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So getting back to this Dhamma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, that is generated through the mode of passion. So one has a religious connotation because he wants to use that religion for fruitive results only. And that's why it's considered a material religion, because it's motivated by one's selfish consciousness. So that is all going on, Dhamma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, right through those descriptions. The mode of passion is the predominating force which wants us to enjoy in this material world. So also tonight it's broken down, mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. So if you look at the mode of goodness, it's described as an illumination. The consciousness is somewhat illumined to be able to understand. And if you look at and we'll go through these material religions because we're putting bhakti, we're putting param dharma aside for the moment, and we're getting a little deeper into these material religions because that's what we're dealing with tonight under the modes of material nature. So if you look at Christianity, they have this so-called mode of goodness code. So the first thing in the code, believe it or not, is to love thy God with all thy heart, with all thy might, with all thy soul. So that's really bhakti-yoga, to love God with all thy heart, with all their soul. And then it says that if you engage like that, then automatically you can love thy neighbor as thyself. In other words, it's clear to the Vaishnava, even through this so-called expression of the way they talk, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, means simply that it's a Brahma Bhuta platform where you can actually treat your neighbor as yourself, because you realize that they're spirit soul as well as you. And as a result, you have that respect, you know. So that's considered the mode of ignorance within their code of practice. And then thou shalt not kill is another one. But when you say thou shalt not kill, and Prabhupada mentions this all the time, the majority of the population of the world are engaged in killing. So even Christianity, sometimes people are very proud. Oh, I'm a Christian. Very proud to be a Christian. Oh, how many times are you going to your church? Oh, I go every Sunday regularly. I never miss a Sunday. And that's when I am worshipping Jesus Christ, who they see as the representative of Krishna or God. But when you go through these different descriptions, thou shalt not commit adultery. There's a whole list. Do you know any more, Prabhu? Any more of these things? Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt honor thy mother and thy father. See, these are all mode of goodness. Don't covet your neighbor. Don't commit adultery, in other words, right?
No, there's a different one. One is not.
Or to covet, in other words, to lust over, you mean? Yeah. Covet. Oh, right. It's a step up, is it? Right. So, if we come back to the thou shalt not kill, it's sort of where the Bible ends in a way. It's the beginning and the end of the Bible, or the instructions of Christianity. But Bhagavad-Gita begins with that instruction. The very beginning of Bhagavad-Gita, Arjuna is saying to Krishna, thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill. So what's the difference between thou shalt not kill from the Christian point of view and thou shalt not kill from the Bhagavad-Gita point of view? Can someone just give a thought on that? What's the difference? What's the difference between thou shalt not kill and Arjuna is saying thou shalt not kill? What's the difference of that? Can anyone explain it? Yes? Are you putting your hand up? No.
You still feels that they will not murder. As it's human, all other living entities doesn't have a soul. That's how they believe in.
Yeah.
That there's no harm in killing them.
Yeah.
This is their
Oh, I see. You're trying to get the microphone. Yeah. Well, let's look at it like this. Killing is a crime, which is punishable all over the world. If you kill someone, and the intent is to actually kill because you hate or you resent or whatever it is, that is a crime, and it's punishable. It's first degree, probably. If the intent is to kill, it's first degree murder. But Krishna is saying to Arjuna, you have to kill. You have to kill as many souls as you can. And if you think of Arjuna, he's pulled his Krishna has pulled Arjuna's chariot in between two incredibly massive armies. We can imagine how big they are. Because Prabhupada explains in a purport, in the first canto, third volume, that he says that at the end of the 18 days of war, 640 million soldiers were killed. Can you imagine? 640 million in 18 days. Gone. And hundreds of soldiers, hundreds of thousands of soldiers were missing. And then Prabhupada describes that in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, they used so much weapons that were mystical weapons, that soldiers just disappeared. So, but Arjuna is saying to Krishna, no, thou shalt not kill. I won't kill. How can I kill my guru, Dronacharya? How can I kill grandfather Bhishma, my true, leader of our families? And if you read Bhagavad-Gita, the first chapter, and up to the second chapter, verse 19, it explains, Arjuna is explaining practically over and over again how fond he is of grandfather Bhishma and Dronacharya, his military teacher. And those were the main reasons why Arjuna didn't want to kill. There were many other reasons, but he was always citing those two reasons. So the main difference between thou shalt not kill as a moral code in Christianity and thou shalt not kill with Arjuna is because Arjuna has been purposefully put into illusion for the sake of the common man. So the common man can understand very clearly the reasons why Arjuna is telling Krishna he won't kill. Because killing for Krishna and killing for oneself is two completely different reasons for killing. One is punishable and one is liberating. It's bhakti. And I'll tell you a little story, and you'll like this story. And one time there was a sannyasi living in Vrindavan when we were building the temple in 1972. And we were living in these little huts, and there was a sannyasi living next to the hut I was living in. And it was the time when Prabhupada was giving the Nectar of Devotion classes, a series of classes. And this sannyasi was really pumping himself up because he wanted to hear the intimate pastimes between Radha and Krishna, the postgraduate study of the Nectar of Devotion, right at the end. So he was sitting in the front every night. He would turn up and he was very enthusiastically listening. And Prabhupada, right throughout the series, never left the analytical study of Sankhya philosophy, chapter 2 of the Bhagavad-Gita. He never left it. So you could see every night that we would go, you could see the sannyasi's face was getting more and more disappointed, that he's not hearing these intimate pastimes. And he's only hearing, you're not this body, you're spirit, soul, and, going on and on about that. So he got so disappointed. He woke up one early morning, it was about 1:30 in the morning, and he went and he walked all the way from where we are here today to Radha Damodar temple. He walked. And he knocked on, Srila Prabhupada was translating up on the rooftops in Radha, that's where we used to live before we came out to this land. We lived at Radha Damodar temple on the roof, and we had different rooms up there. So Srila Prabhupada was translating, and there was a loud knock on the door, and then he just opened the door, and Srila Prabhupada says, "Oh, why have you come so early? Please come in." And Prabhupada invited him, his disciple, into the room. So Srila Prabhupada inquired, "Why have you come? Is there some problem?" And he says, "Yes, Prabhupada." He says, "I just can't sleep. He says, my mind is very agitated. He says, I can't chant my japa. I can't think of Radharani while I'm chanting because my mind is too busy in this construction work that you've engaged me, you know? Signing checks off to the contractor, making sure there's enough sand and cement and stone chips and all kinds of materials, steel, like this. Because initially he was in charge in the very, very early days of the construction of the temple. Although we didn't get very far, just the foundations. So, Prabhupada, I can't think of Krishna. My mind is too disturbed. I can't think of Radharani. Oh. So Prabhupada said, he says, when Arjuna's chariot was drawn by Krishna between the two armies, Prabhupada says, do you think Arjuna was sitting in lotus position, meditating on Krishna? Is that what you think? Was he just sitting, thinking of Radharani, chanting japa? Prabhupada says, no. Prabhupada said, his mind was wholly and solely, totally engaged in how many soldiers I can kill today. That was his devotional service. How many soldiers I can kill with my Gandiva bow. He said, so similarly, he says, your service to me, the spiritual master, is for your mind to be absorbed in making sure those checks are signed, in making sure there's enough sand, cement, steel. That is your service. That is absolute devotional service. So like that he was explaining. And then the sannyasi just stood up and he walked out of the room and he never returned. He disappeared. So it's so important that when we're reading these books, that everyone takes advantage of trying to understand what Srila Prabhupada is saying very clearly in his purports. That's the reason why Srila Prabhupada has given the purport. I remember before I came to this movement, I used to go into a bookshop and there would be at least 13 different commentaries on Bhagavad-Gita. 13. And I'm sure there's probably many more today. So that's why it's so important, you know, to read these books, these authoritative books, so we can understand exactly as it is how we proceed in our devotional life. Can you imagine without knowledge, without any books, before Srila Prabhupada came to the West, even while Prabhupada was in India, I would say the population of India pretty much weren't engaged in devotional service. They didn't have Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Of course, there was Gaudiya Mat, and that was by the grace of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. That is how Prabhupada actually started his devotional service to his Guru. So you can imagine before Srila Prabhupada came to the West, there was just hopelessness and despair. Because everyone was trying to find a way to be happy, but only by material means, only by trying to eke out some sort of happiness from the material world, by the material energy. And Srila Prabhupada says that one should never be proud about being a devotee. Although, sorry, I want to rephrase that. One should be proud to be a Vaishnava. That's the way we dovetail pride. We have to... Like this? Okay, it's not coming out. we have to be proud of being a Vaishnava, but at the same time, while we're engaged in devotional service, we mustn't get proud and puffed up, because we should always remember we have a material body. And a material body is a sign that we are prisoners of this material world. Because without coming into the prison house, you won't have a material body. Having a material body means you've come into the material world. So, having a material body means I, self, selfishness, I am the center of everything. Everyone is thinking like that. Me, mine, I. So, the whole idea is that determination which we're talking about tonight, the determination in goodness, is liberating. Liberating in a sense that it will take us higher onto the transcendental plane. Like, for instance, if Christians would follow those codes of practice, they would also be candidates for engaging in devotional service. But unfortunately, they don't follow very strictly. So, this determination, at least the candidate should be in the mode of goodness. If we look at the mode of passion and ignorance, it's very morose. If we look at ignorance, let's just look at it for a moment. And that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearlessness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion. Such an unintelligent determination, O son of Pritha, is in the mode of darkness. Now then, before we came to devotional service, can anyone think of being under the influence of the mode of ignorance? Can anyone say what it was like to sleep 10, 12 hours a day? Yeah, sleeping, you know, like bears and different animals, they sleep for long times, you know, because it's, well, there's reasons why they sleep for a long time. But when human beings sleep for a long time, Prabhupada describes here, it means they're in the real depths of darkness. Because when we sleep, we dream. And we dream. So you're already in illusion. So when you go to sleep, you're in a double illusion. Because Prabhupada says dreaming just doesn't exist in the night. It also exists in the day. So if we're not dreaming in the night, we're dreaming in the day. And what is that dreaming? Oh, I am a woman. Oh, I am a man. I am a brahmachari. I am a grihastha. I am a vaishya. I am a kshatriya. I am a brahmin. I am this. I am that. These are all material identifications. I am a sannyasi. That's also a material identification. We're none of these things. These are the way we decorate our bodies to represent some sort of consciousness. So the idea is that we all have different dresses. I've got white on, right? There are devotees here with saffron on. So that indicates this devotee here. What's your name, Prabhu? Right. He is a brahmachari, right? Vanapras. You're Vanapras. I'm Vanapras also. This devotee is a brahmachari. This devotee is a Griyamedi. Look how truthful he is. He's actually telling the truth. I think he's a liar, actually. He's not a Griyamedi. He's a Vanapras like me, right? So we're all identified by the color of our dress in the ashram side of Vana Ashram Dham. So, Jiva Swayarubhe Nitya Krishna Das. That's who we really are. So the idea is that once, only by knowledge, only by reading Bhagavad-Gita, can we understand who we are and how to act, right? So the whole idea is that the material form, the material life, the human being in the material body, is his responsibility is to prepare himself to be loved and adored by the Supreme Lord. That is what human form of life is all about. It's all about transcending all these modes of nature, because you know, modes of nature, they're spells. That's what they are. Material nature is multi-dimensional. It's not just beautiful skies, sun is out, nice shining, beautiful country, beautiful oceans, people go on holiday to go to beautiful places, and they identify material nature as three-dimensional, but a place to enjoy. So they always seek out, they're working very hard in the cities and the towns, and then on the weekends or on holiday times, they go searching for an idyllic place to stay, because they see nature as beautiful, and it is beautiful. Krishna's energy, Krishna's inferior energy, is beautiful, but at the same time, it's almost like a praying mantis. You know what a praying mantis is? Have you ever heard of a praying mantis? The insect, you know the insect? Where it's sitting on the leaf, and it's very, very still, but it sometimes shakes also. And just before it'll snap like that and eat the insect that's walking nearby. So material nature is like that. It's got a kick to it. It's got a bite to it. And it's described, Maya is described as the energy that pulls us down into the material world and then covers us. It covers us. Right? So while we're here, pulled down and covered, we can never ever understand, regardless of any determination whatsoever within these modes of nature, because the modes of nature are simply spells, and we've got to find out how we can get rid of those spells. Maya is very, very, very strong and intelligent, because her service, Maya's service, is to keep us in the material world, is to offer us an alternative. Because we are also small enjoyers. You know, Krishna says, besides this inferior nature, O Arjuna, there is a superior nature of mine, which are all living entities. Right? So all living entities, all moving entities, and non-moving entities in the material world are Krishna's marginal energy. And that marginal energy is very, very special, because it is manifested from Krishna for lila, for engaging in service. Krishna derives great pleasure in getting bhakti or love from each individual living entity. If you look at the inferior energy, there's no love, because it's inert, it's lifeless. This desk, there's no soul, the walls. In the atoms, Krishna resides within the atoms of everything. But in terms of loving reciprocation, being the marginal energy is a reciprocal energy. It is high energy. So human form of life is meant to be loved, be prepared. So that's what we're doing here in Vrindavan every day, is we're taking advantage of living in Vrindavan to slowly but surely prepare ourselves to be loved and adored by Krishna. So that determination that we all possess within us, within our being, is to be to be preparing ourselves to be loved and adored by Krishna. That's the whole purpose of determination. Determined, I'm determined to learn to love Krishna. You know, because can you imagine if Krishna gave us just a window, just like, you know, we see on these computers, windows, right? Imagine having a window of opportunity, even if it's only for a minute, to experience the Anandamaya Bihar Sat, that Krishna, you know, that loving Govindam. Imagine just being touched by his lotus feet, just like Prahlad. Nrsingadev touched his head and he became empowered to love, you know, Prahlad. So can you imagine that? Imagine feeling the bliss. There would be no question of our faith, would there, if we were able to experience just a minute of bliss. So we don't experience that, you know, love of Krishna is not cheap. Krishna doesn't work like that. Krishna wants us to love him from our heart. He doesn't want us to have to, he doesn't want to have to give us all these opportunities every 2 minutes. He wants us to work at it. And just like we're reading in the morning about working at things, the remedies of getting some sort of, you know, juice out of the material world, what you have to go to, the remedies of what you have to do to get a tiny little bit of sense gratification. So, but we've got to work hard. But slowly but surely, Krishna then will reveal himself. He'll reveal himself to us. So, it's good that we're getting through these chapters, or getting through, these verses, because the nearer we're getting to the middle of the 18th chapter, that's when Krishna starts to really reveal some really beautiful verses, you know, in this Bhagavad-Gita. So, it's getting late, it's 6:05. So, is there any questions or comments? Everyone has an opportunity to say something. We shouldn't just be sitting around. You have the opportunity to also say something. So if anybody likes to say, he's always got something to say. This guy.
Hi. As you were giving in the beginning, that Arjuna, Krishna asking that you have to kill, he comes in the army and you have to kill them.
Yeah.
He is giving some argument that how can I kill my parents and this one. So that is one example Prabhupada has given. A person in the military, he goes and kills the people. There is no harm in killing them. But when he comes in the house and kills one person, then he is able to punishment for this.
Yeah.
So this example, I remember of Prabhupada always been listening and this one, this meditating that when we do anything outside,
Yeah.
yes, Prabhupada just gave the example of sannyas and went to Prabhupada, he's saying, I'm this and this one.
Yeah.
So meditating on this one and thinking that how this Lord is so merciful and He is giving us so much opportunity to serve Him in different manners. So we are serving Him in different manner, although sometimes we don't feel the taste in the chanting or something, but still we are engaged in the service of the Lord.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the thing, you know, we can expect. Let me just quote a sloka, you know, it says in Bhagavad-Gita, and that will cap off what you're saying exactly. And it's, thank you for that comment. Vishaya vinivatante nirahara shadeyana rasavajam rasopiyasha parang drishvanavatate. So, the embodied soul may be refrained from sense enjoyment, but the taste for sense objects remain. So, but ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So what Prabhupada is saying is that even though we're engaged in devotional service, we still feel the taste sometimes to have sense gratification of some kind. It's always there. That Prabhupada once was asked a question, Srila Prabhupada, how long does it take to become Krishna conscious? Prabhupada says, 1 minute, or 1 second, I think he said. 1 second. So the marginal energy, it's so influenced either by Krishna or by the material energy, so we can be in Maya. Once Prabhupada says, why are you going on about this? When are you not in Maya, Prabhupada? What's this about being Krishna conscious? When are you not in Maya? Tell me. So, you know, we always have that task individually of dealing with ourselves, because we're all in the same boat. We've all got this material body. You know, once the devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, he said, there was a sannyasi, Vishnu Jan, and one devotee said to Srila Prabhupada, Vishnu Jan is advancing in Krishna consciousness so nicely. You are giving him so much mercy. And Prabhupada said, no, I'm not giving him so much mercy. My mercy is spread equally to everybody. It's just that he's grabbing with 2 hands, my mercy, grabbing it. So this process is here for everyone. And one has to decide how determined, enthusiastic he wants to be. Krishna leaves it with us. As they surrender unto me, I award accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. Srila Prabhupada I forget exactly the sloka right now, but Prabhupada even said that if one is not engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, then he talks about jnana, kama, yoga, and he goes right down into even national service, you know, in the purport. Have you ever read it? I've read it. I just can't remember the purport, you know, or the sloka. But Prabhupada says, because we're servants, that is our dharma, we're serving, we're servants. Even by performing national service in the armed forces, it gives us an opportunity to always try to think that we are servants. You know, we're not masters, you know. Yes, Prabhu.
I heard also that
during national service,
Yes.
if you kill someone,
Right.
after they
Okay.
give you decoration, you know,
Right.
you get a star or something, you know.
Right.
But if you kill someone for your own
Yes.
selfishness,
Yes.
then you will be taken to jail,
Yes.
maybe
Yes.
killed by
Yes.
guillotine.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. See, that's another good example. Thank you for that. That if you're told by a superior officer in the military to kill somebody, you don't suffer the results of that death, because you're being told. Kshatriyas are military men, and they're involved in protection, basically, to protect the citizens. So if they're in a war with another country or whatever it is, one soldier is told by a military officer to go and kill, he does it, but he won't suffer the consequences because he's not doing it for himself. So that's a good example. And then the end result is, depending on his heroism, he gets a medal, isn't it? he gets a medal, you know, and for his service, yeah. Like the Foreign Legion, you know. You're French, right? Yeah, there you go. Foreign Legion, you know. You had to be super, isn't it? It was it's very. To join the Foreign Legion, you had to be really a top soldier, you know, because they were really into austerity, you know. Everything, yeah, it's strong.